Dude, you went from the last on the list to the middle of the list, man, just because I saw that name in there. Next question comes from I'm a Brewery on Instagram. Hey, Adam, I have a question regarding carbonation in a Unitank. Carbstone is above the cone, so bubbles will be driven upward. How does this affect the product, and what considerations should be taken into account? For example, should a longer period under pressure be held, or can you proceed to packaging within 48 hours of head pressure being reached? Thank you in advance. So my take on this is when we talk Unitank, we're typically talking a cylindrical conical fermenter that has a carbstone that is built into it from the beginning, right? So you ferment, you crash cool, you probably, I mean, you're going to need to be, I'm assuming, getting that sediment out of the bottom of the tank, yeast, hops, kind of cone shaving that thing down. That's more like that. Specifically, that term means kind of up at the beginning of fermentation, but really making sure that you're dropping what you can out of the cone of that tank, probably injecting some sort of liquid fining agent into it and rousing it, and then letting that settle, and then maybe blowing that off too, and then packaging off of that. What you would need to do is you want to be using an appropriate measurement tool for measuring your CO2, either a Zom and Nagel carbonation thingy, or like one of the $15,000 to $30,000 CO2 measurement devices. More of us than not are going to be using the Zom. So what you would do is when you have that beer, obviously cold because you find it and you find out how much CO2 is left in it, that is when you would start injecting gas into that thing. Again, I do think you want to try to, in my mind, it would be nice to get your carbonation dialed in before maybe you do your fining, because then you're not going to be creating agitation in the tank. And also, I know there's going to be sediment that settled on that carbstone as well. And so you'd be blowing that up in the air. So that would just be my take, is get that carbonation dialed in up front and then fine it. Obviously, you want to be going from doing it in a closed way, having a clean and sanitized secondary vessel that is also purged, that you can add the fining material to, and then inject that into the tank, and then circulate the tank or rouse the tank. I think that would be the best way to go. So yeah, I mean, that would be my preferred way. And I will say, as far as adding carbonation to, whether it be a bright or a Unitank, I prefer to not bleed and feed, meaning pushing gas in through the stone and then blowing it off at 12 or 15 psi or whatever you're blowing it off at, and just ripping gas through it. I do think if you're doing an IPA and you smell that gas blowing off the side of it coming out of that CIP arm, you're going to be smelling hops. Maybe you can touch it up a little bit like that, but I prefer to try to hit that by keeping it a closed system. So that's just my take. So yeah, so to get you directly to your answer, I would get that carbonation right with as much solids out of the tank as I can, get my fining solution in there, circulated or roused, and then as soon as that tank is clear enough for you to be able to package it, rip it. So that's what I would do with that. I'm a Brewery. Good to see you in the chats.